These are some of the guys in the reserve force, let me say, because this area where they are, this is the male section. It's a male quarantine area. That's where we control them from. I'll briefly discuss about the controlling of breeding to these animals, how I do it. I've done this many times ago, and I told you how I control my males from breeding all the time. You get, or from controlling what they call breeding. Um, there is many sections. There is many sections that you need to have on your farm, and in that kind of arrangement, we find it being lovely if you separate the male unit and from the female unit. So today I'm going to show you the houses that you have to put in your heads when you think about doing goat farming. So still I'm reminding you about that. What I was explaining to you is that when you decide to do farming, there are many ways of doing farming. We have what they call breeding. We do have slaughter, and we do also what they call um, um, fattening. But for this case, me, I do breeding. So those people who are willing, who are thinking about of breeding, this is a food to your soul. It is a food to your heart and to your brain. Um, if you're thinking about of what we call breeding, I want you to think about of separation of the units. Breeding means doing what they call a systematic breeding. You know which males are supposed to do what and when. You get it? So for this case, you control which animals are supposed to be bred. You get it? So me, the only way I do that is by separating these guys alone. And then I pick the ones I want to do the job of breeding. Then I take them. So if that animal produces, also I have to separate the babies. So you can separate, or in your mind, if you're starting to do what they call breeding, even if you're beginning now, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to separate all the units at first. Because first of all, if you're beginning, you spend a lot of money in many things, and of which you're not going to keep redoing them, like maybe construction, water, all those kind of stuff. But have it in your mind that if you take an animal today, after 18 to 21 days or after 2 months, it's going to be bred. And when it is bred, it's going to produce. So when it produces, those animals also don't start at that level of being separated. Remember, they're still young. They will be separated again when they make 3 to 4 months. So let me just show you, for example. Um, you get me this guy. For example, this guy and this one is around 2 months, and this guy is around 4 months. So this guy of 4 months, we have decided to separate him and put it in the winners section. You get it? And remember, in the group that was produced, it also has sisters and a father. So the father, what I did, like me, I have many sections of the farm. I keep changing the male, not because I cannot control breeding when I've left the males in their section, but now this one also has sisters. So we are separating the sisters from the brother, because if we keep this with the sisters, it's going to start serving them at 4 months. So we separated him here, and we also separated the sisters. So sisters alone are different, and this one alone is different. So where do we benefit more is when we have many animals. Because take an example, if you have, like, let's say 5 or 10 goats, and they have also produced 10 or 5 goats. Now on the 10, you have, let's say, 5 females and 5 males. These animals don't meet. We don't allow them to meet. We have to separate them completely. So now if you separate, and you're separating 5 goats males and you're separating 5 goats females, my question is, how are you going to control them and then feeding them? Unless if you're on zero grazing. But if you're doing free range, That means this group is supposed to go alone and another group as well is supposed to go alone. So that's where the factor of having a big number works out. And actually it's cheaper to do more goats than even doing few goats. Why? Because a worker who looks after 50 goats is the same worker that looks after 5 goats. And you're paying him the same money, and as well you're paying him the same food. So what do? Try as much as you can when you're beginning. At least have a number, have a reasonable number. This guy is really disturbing me. This is a Kalahari. He's also very stubborn, like maybe some of you. So, for example, if we had very few animals, because these are all males, in terms of doing what they call breeding, we do what they call synchronization. Natural synchronization, we eliminate males from the females, or like the way I showed you the male, that boy, that the father is somewhere else, the sisters are somewhere else, and the brother is somewhere else. So the moment you separate males, you have controlled the breeding. We can carry this male back to the breeding flock, and that smell you hear is called a testosterone hormone. What we do, we starve the females. If we starve the females, they all come on hit and miss as they are waiting for other groups to come up. So when we introduce a male and that male goes back to the flock, that animal will definitely sense and know that the man is in. If the man is in, is giving us a very good smell, and they will all come on hit and they will be bred. So that will help you produce in groups. Like let's say if you want to do natural synchronization, sorry, if you want to produce in a group, that's the way you're supposed to do. Separate the male, put it alone, then the females alone, and the kids, female kids alone. So like if you want to maintain the male in its flock, let it stay with the mothers, with its wives, and then separate your profits, which are the male kids and the female kids. Give them units. So if you start with a small number, it's going to disturb you, it's going to disorganize you. So that is my advice to you guys, that if you want to do breeding, think about of those 3 sections. After, if you begin now, think about it when it's 1 year, because even the babies produced will definitely go to the size of breeding or being bred. Thank you very much. I think you picked something in that, and I would like you really to do a very good breeding, and I would like you really to do a very good systematic way of doing farming. Let's go into it because the market is readily available. Thank you very much. I wish you the best. Bye for now.